Like, you don't have to be good enough. Like, because good enough, it kind of like makes us feel like there's something that we're measuring ourselves against. It's like, good enough according to what? According to who? Born and raised on the south side of the city, and I am the only girl of four. I have 3 brothers. And I just feel like growing up, like I was always very encouraged to be who I was, encouraged to lead, encouraged to make sure that I like did different things. Like my parents were always like putting us in different programs, and sometimes I didn't want to be in those programs, but my mom would say like, you at least have to try it. And we also moved a lot, and so I feel like that also helped me to understand that like it wasn't so much where I was, but who I was with and like who I was. So I really appreciate that from growing up. And I think that like just being an adult now, I really love that I feel like I was like in this incubator, like in this incubator that helped me to like really understand that like I was somebody. And even though once I got out the incubator, like it was real quick to feel like, ooh, like maybe I'm not as great as they told me I was, or, maybe I don't really have these gifts, or I don't really, I'm not really as awesome as my teachers and my parents have told me all my life. And I was very challenged. And for me, that came from high school, because I grew up, went to private schools, just like had kind of like these smaller experiences. And then I went to a school with 2,500 people, and it caused me to like really question myself and to feel like, oh, okay, well, like, yeah, I'm good at this, but this person's better. Or like, yeah, like, oh, she's really pretty, or she's really that, or they're able to do this, and they show up in class this way. And I had a full identity crisis. And I thought that by the time I left high school, I kind of like was better with that and I was okay. But then I got to college and it happened all over again. Like it honestly happened all over again. My 18-year-old self was like, oh, I know who I am, I'm good. Got to college and I was just like, oh. And I wasn't starting over, I was just starting from a new place. It was a different level. And so I feel like I know that like what was instilled in me was so important, because I'm still returning to that now, and like returning like better and stronger and wiser, but returning to what the original like things that were said to me about who I was. And I really tried to remember like what I used to love, and like what I used to do, and like how life was as a child. I feel like we're always returning to like our original selves, like who we were when we got here, because of all of the messages that we get from media, from social media, from friends, and just from our thoughts about who we think we should be. And so I really had to like divorce myself from like the person that I think I should be, to embrace who I am. And learning that like you actually like because I am a creation, because I did not make myself, just like all of God's other blessings that I have to receive, like I also have to receive me. And like that has been like a huge revelation for me lately, because I think that I'm always wondering like, well, God, like how can I give? Like how can I serve? Like how can I honor you in this? And I think lately the word that God has just been saying to me over and over is like receive. And like that includes receiving yourself and accepting and embracing like exactly who I am. Like there are facets to me that I don't even know. So it's like getting to know myself too, all over again. So now I am in graduate school. I'm in seminary, getting my Master's of Divinity, and I will be done in May. So I'm really excited about that. And it has been a journey, because honestly, once I was done with my undergrad in 2016, I was just like, I'm not going back to school. Like, I just want to live my life. I just want to be a real person. Feeling like being a student, I wasn't a real person. And that like, I was just like, God, no. And then very quickly after that, God was like, no, Alex, yes. And God called me to go to seminary, and I was just like, okay, what am I doing? Because a lot of people are on the track for ordination, so they like are there to become pastors in the United Methodist denomination. And that's just not my situation at all. So I'm just like, all right, Lord, like I'll go. because you said so, but I still don't get it. And I understand now that even though I still don't get it all the way, that I needed to be there. Because like I love learning. I love learning and I love being in academic spaces, and I'm a campus minister as well, part-time, and God has called me to the academy. And so it's important for me to understand like how to navigate that space, but to also have studied and like gone through different things and different ideas and perspectives so that I can really like become all things to all people. I think that I'm starting to wonder what's next and like how this informs what's next and like what this was all about. And it's not that I don't believe that like what God said when he called me was true and like all of that, but I also believe that God reminds us. And I've just been in desperate need of that because just getting to the end, I'm just like, what happened in the last 3 years? You know, like what was really going on? Like, how did I grow? How did I learn? And some things I know, but there are still some things that I'm longing to discover. And that's just a part of the beauty of the journey, even though the waiting sometimes is frustrating. But I mean, I preached my first sermon in seminary. I was able to really understand my love for like pastoral care and counseling, for Christian education, for like just learning different theologies, and like God became so much bigger to me in seminary, like understanding that God is so much bigger than my experience of him. And my world was just opened. And I think that like going into a graduate program, sometimes I feel like, you know, for me at least, I won't speak for everybody, but for myself, I was just like, oh shoot, like I'm not gonna be able to, I thought about all the things that I wasn't going to be able to do because of what God had called me to. And I knew that like, I'm up in Evanston, like, you know, I'm focused, I'm trying to work like full-time student. I mean, they had us taking 6 classes our first semester, 14 and a half credit hours. And I'm just like, Lord, I'm not gonna have a life. And I feel like God had to remind me that like sometimes in certain seasons you have to say no to some things, not to everything, but so that you can say yes. And like it's a privilege to have this time to like study and to learn and to grow and to really invest in my development, because I'm needed in the earth. And so I need that time, I need that space to learn and to think and to evolve. Whew, that I'm not good enough. That is like, I really struggle with that. And I think I would just tell her like that she doesn't have to be. Like, you don't have to be good enough. Like, because good enough, it kind of like makes us feel like there's something that we're measuring ourselves against. It's like, good enough according to what? According to who? And like, even just from a Christian perspective, like God is the one who is like perfect. Like God is perfect. God is enough. And so like, because God is enough, that is what makes us enough. Like that is what makes us full. Not on our own. Like not living in our own strength and not living according to like the culture and like what culture tells us and even what people we love tell us, and the messages that we receive from what's said and what's not said to us. And I just really would want her to know that she doesn't have to be good enough because she's loved fully. Like she's loved wholly and perfectly, and that nothing can separate her from that love. That love is like the foundation of her worth, and like the love of God seeks to attach itself to her at all times, at all costs. Like there is no place that you can go where you're not loved, no thing that you can do that you're not loved, say or not say, and that like the love of God is really real. And that it is like the foundation for our worth, and like that you are worthy and you don't have to prove yourself. You do not have to prove yourself. You don't have to prove that you're worthy. God called you worthy before we could even say the word, before we even knew our names. Like he knew and he called us worthy. And so I would just really want her to know that. But it's hard because like I would be able to say all of those things, but those are things that I feel like I have had to have experiences. Like I have had to encounter the love of God. I have had to I have had to worship into understanding my worth. You know, like I have had to like because I'm able to see God for who God really is. So I think more than anything, I would just encourage her to like look into the word of God and to like, and do it with her, you know? Like I feel like we need more of that. Like we need more discipleship in the world. But, and to do it with her and just to like, see like what God has said and like what is true, so that those truths get so deep in our hearts to the point where like lies will come up and feelings will come up and things will be triggered, but like the truth can also shut it down. And so yeah, just that you're loved and you don't have to be enough. God already did all the work.
Alright, Alex, so this is the speed round of good questions. So as fast as you can, answer these questions off the top of the dome. Okay, first question is good food.
Oh my gosh, salmon. I love salmon.
Good season.
Fall. I wish we had more of it.
A good book to read.
Oh shoot. I was about to say the Bible, but also like anything by Brene Brown. I love her so much.
Good song on your playlist right now.
I'm gonna go with Breathe Again by Jonathan Traylor. Breathe Life Again, that's the name of it.
Good movie you've seen lately.
Man, I ain't watched a movie, but I've been watching The Good Place. Like it's been feeling like a movie because I just binge watched it on Netflix.
Good restaurant to go to.
Good restaurant. It's a Japanese restaurant here called Koi, and I love it. It's so good.
What's a good class to study?
A good class. I love like pastoral care and counseling classes, and mainly because it teaches us how to be good people, like to listen. Like humans need to take a class on listening. It's not natural to all of us.
And lastly, what is a good Bible verse?
A good Bible verse? Oh shoot. I think one that I've been thinking about is just Psalm 139:14. Like, I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well.
Alex, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thanks for